Most retirees make a Social Security mistake before they even claim a dollar, and it's not what you think. I've reviewed hundreds of strategies and seen this one oversight quietly erase six figures in lifetime benefits. Because when you treat Social Security as a standalone decision instead of part of your whole retirement income plan, you risk locking in permanent damage. So, in this video, I'll show you how to avoid that trap and instead maximize the benefits you've earned. But here's the real issue. Most Social Security advice is given in a vacuum. You'll hear things like take it at 62 or wait until 70 if you can, but those rules of thumb ignore the most important part, your situation, like your income sources, your spouse's benefit, taxes, and your personal goals. Too many people focus just on the monthly check and forget to ask the bigger question: how do I get the most out of this over my lifetime? And when you zoom out like that, the numbers can change dramatically. So claiming early, for example, might feel good in the moment, but if it costs you $80,000 to $100,000 over your lifetime, that's not income, that's leakage. So for many retirees, especially women, Social Security isn't just a supplement. In fact, according to a Transamerica retirement survey, 3 in 10 women expect it to be their primary source of retirement income. That means the margin for error is razor thin, being Social Security is guaranteed, inflation adjusted, and partially tax free. Now, it won't cover everything necessarily, but it gives your portfolio room to breathe. And the more pressure you take off your investments, the more confident you can feel about spending them wisely. And here's what most people miss: making the right Social Security decision can be worth more than years of additional retirement saving. Just because you're eligible to claim doesn't mean it's a good idea. And of course, the government won't stop you, even if it's a bad financial move. So now that you've seen why generic advice falls short, let's look at why the first mistake silently drains retirement income, which is one of the most tempting and expensive ones, which is filing for Social Security at age 62. While yes, it's the earliest age you can claim, it's also when the long-term cost is the highest. If your full retirement age is 67, claiming at this time means that you're locking in just 70% of your full benefit. It's like locking in a 30-year mortgage and agreeing to pay 30% more than you needed to. So beware of claiming early just to feel better in the short term, as it can quietly backfire. And this becomes even more important when spouses have uneven earning histories, which is incredibly common. I recently worked with a couple who was in this very boat. She was set on filing at 62, not because it necessarily made financial sense, but because she was pretty anxious about having cash flow. But once we laid out the coordinated strategy, delaying his benefit, layering her spousal benefits later, everything changed. It wasn't just a $130,000 swing in lifetime income, it was peace of mind. In fact, if something happened to him first, her survivor benefit would be significantly higher, and that gave both of them more confidence to spend and enjoy retirement. And this isn't a rare case. That's what happens when you zoom out and coordinate the strategy. So, even if you live into your late 70s or early 80s, which many people do, you'll actually receive more total income by delaying your benefit. That's around the break even point. And when you include survivor benefits, inflation adjustments, and portfolio pressure relief, the math even gets more compelling, because that's not just about getting the biggest check now, it's about building a solid foundation for the next 30 years of income. And first, I want to be clear: there are absolutely situations when claiming at 62 is the right move. For instance, if you're in poor health or if your parents had a shorter lifespan, claiming at 62 could mean more total income. So, in fact, I've even got a whole nother video that walks through smart reasons to claim at 62, and I'll link that for you at the end. The difference is this: if you're filing early, it has to be part of a plan, not because it's out of panic or pressure. So, if you're not 100% sure about your Social Security strategy and you'd rather measure twice and cut once on a once in a lifetime decision that could add tens of thousands of dollars to your lifetime benefits, I encourage you to schedule a call with me in the description below. One of the most costly mistakes I see, and it catches couples all the time, is mishandling spousal benefits. With hidden rules and ripple effects, it's no wonder that many advisors miss them. And when they're not coordinated carefully, the long term costs can be massive. As a spouse, you have two potential paths. First, claim a benefit based on your own work record, or second, receive up to 50% of your spouse's benefit if it's higher. But here's where things can get tricky. You can't receive a spousal benefit unless your spouse has already filed. And that catches a lot of people off guard. Many people file earlier on thinking, hey, on my own record, I'll file now and then switch to my spouse's benefit later, which is possible, but the early filing shrinks what you will get permanently. So, what feels like a simple way to start some income in retirement can quietly cost you for decades. I saw this play out with a couple I worked with recently where she assumed that starting at 62 was her only option, just to help with short term cash flow. But again, when we zoomed out and actually ran the numbers, the difference was staggering because Mike, worked full time throughout his career and would receive a $3,200 check from Social Security. But she, Lisa, who worked part time, she would only get $1,000 on her own earning history. So when she planned to file at 62, it wasn't part of an overall strategy. It just felt like it was normal for her. But here's what would have happened: her $1,000 full retirement benefit gets cut to $700 for life. And when Mike files at age 70, she becomes eligible for a spousal benefit, but it's reduced as well. So instead of getting $1,600, she get closer to $1,100. And if Mike passes away first, her survivor benefit could be permanently reduced if she claims early. All told, that one early decision could cost them $70,000 to around $100,000 across retirement just from missing one simple coordination. And many people assume that spousal benefits means getting 50% of whatever your spouse is getting paid, but it's actually based on their benefit at their full retirement age, and only if you wait until your own full retirement age to claim. That's why Social Security statements can be so misleading. The numbers can seem clear on paper, but the rules behind them aren't. If you're divorced, you're likely still eligible for a spousal benefit so long as you were married for at least 10 years, you're currently unmarried, and your ex is eligible to receive Social Security even if they've remarried. So if all that checks out, you can claim a spousal benefit once you're 62, and they don't even have to know you're doing it. It doesn't affect them at all. And now there's a whole nother separate set of rules if your spouse has passed away. You can receive their full benefit as a survivor. You can claim, in fact, as early as age 60 and earlier if you're disabled. However, if you remarry before you turn 60 years old, you lose eligibility for that survivor benefit, which catches a lot of people off guard. So, understanding these survivor benefits is just as crucial as coordinating while both spouses are alive, especially when fixed income is going to play a big role in your plan. So that brings me to one of the most overlooked strategies for boosting your income and protecting your spouse long term: delayed claiming. Most people know that if you wait longer, you can get more money, but they treat it like a luxury move, something for only the people who don't need the money. But the truth is, delaying Social Security can be one of the most powerful tools you have, not just to increase your benefit, but to strengthen your entire retirement plan in three key ways. First, for every retirement year you delay past full retirement age, your benefit increases by 8%. And that's before cost of living adjustments. So, for example, if your benefit at age 67 is $2,000 per month, waiting until 70 years old boosts it to $2,480 per month. And this isn't including inflation adjustments. That's thousands of more dollars per year for life. You won't find that kind of guaranteed, inflation adjusted, tax efficient return anywhere else. Second, the delayed claiming gives you something that most retirees undervalue: control. Because you can always start later if you need, but once you file, the decision is locked in and there's no reset button. So in retirement, I find that flexibility is everything. Your needs, your health, your lifestyle, they all change. And a solid plan needs to be able to adapt with you. So delaying gives your income strategy the room to evolve, especially when you're in one of the most financially fragile phases of your life. And third, Social Security isn't just your benefit. Remember, it's your spouse's safety net too. If you're the higher earner, delaying isn't just about maximizing income, it's about protecting the person who may someday depend on your benefit the most. The obvious question to all of this is, can I afford to delay? And the honest answer is, you won't really know until you run the numbers. Because for some people, delaying is clearly the right move financially and emotionally. But for others, it creates more stress than it solves. So this isn't about delaying to squeeze more out of the system. It's about being intentional with the income strategy for the rest of your life and seeing how things like pensions or strategic withdrawals from your portfolio or even part-time work could actually support a delay of Social Security that actually strengthens your overall long-term outlook. Now that you understand these critical Social Security strategies, let's look at how you can implement this advice directly into your retirement plan. Because you've seen by now that the real question isn't when can I file for benefits, but when's the right strategy to turn Social Security into a true asset in my retirement plan? Because this isn't about a date, it's about aligning one of your largest income sources with everything else in your financial life. When we walk our clients through our retirement readiness roadmap, this is exactly what we do. We run the numbers across multiple scenarios and ask better questions, such as how will this decision affect my taxes, my withdrawals, and my long term income? Or how does my spouse's timeline factor in, especially if they're much younger than I am? Or a better question is, what happens if I live into my 90s? Or what if one of us passes earlier than expected? And all of these allow you to build enough flexibility for the unknown. Optimizing your Social Security isn't about squeezing every dollar. It's about sequencing your income in a way that gives you more confidence, resilience, and freedom to adapt as life unfolds. This is how we measure twice and cut once, by building a real plan that weaves your Social Security into your broader income strategy. Because Social Security alone isn't the whole plan, but when placed right, it can amplify everything else. One of the easiest places to start is by logging into SSA.gov and making sure you create your account and then review your earnings history. I'll drop a link in the description below for you because your Social Security benefit is calculated using your 35 highest earning years. If you have fewer than 35, those missing years count as zeros, and even part time income can fill those up to help replace your benefits with something better. I've had client reviews where fixing a single reporting error on their benefit history meant tens of thousands of dollars in additional benefit income throughout their retirement. If your earnings are wrong, your benefit will be too. So, requesting a correction is often simple but incredibly valuable. Now that you know the biggest Social Security mistakes and how to avoid them, you're in a much stronger position to make this decision with confidence. But here's the thing, getting Social Security right isn't just about more income, it's about integrating that into a plan that supports the rest of your retirement, such as taxes, portfolio withdrawals, survivor benefits, and more. So, if you're not 100% sure that your strategy is optimized and you'd rather measure twice and cut once, on a decision that could impact you for 30 years, use the link in the description below to schedule a call with me so we can see if working together makes sense and whether if I'm the right fit to help you get this right. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.